Welcome into the PHNX Suns podcast, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Lindsay Smith here with Saul Bookman, Espo, and Gerald Bourget. We've got a really fun show for you guys. Obviously, we got to talk about the KD stuff.
Turn it
up. We
up.
have a
Let's
very
go.
special guest that stopped by earlier, Duane Washington Jr., for an exclusive interview. But before we get into all of that, how you guys doing?
I am a hell of a lot better than Steve Nash and Sean Marks this morning. I'm not pulling that knife out of my back. So
I mean, they got job security. What's wrong?
we'll get into it.
I will say this: I'm a little sad.
Why?
I feel like the last 2 weeks, every time we come on, because my first ever crush passed away yesterday.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 7 years old and I watched Let's Get Physical
by
Olivia Newton-John, and glad she didn't sound like that. And I was like, oh, I have feelings that I've never felt before. What is this? That was my first crush, Olivia Newton-John. You learned something about me today.
That is sad. Not that she was your first crush. That she.
Well, that's
passed away,
sad. That was sad for her.
No.
But,
She didn't know, Espo. But yeah, I mean, and then the breast cancer, like, oh.
yeah, I
Just
believe it was
tragic.
the third time having breast cancer too. Just tough. Way to bring down the energy.
I was
though.
like about to say, yeah, I'm
Speaking
doing
of
great.
Australians. No, I'm just kidding. Keep going.
yeah, no.
Too early for the plug.
Okay,
This is such an awesome-
Lindsay's out of
I
words.
literally don't know what to say to this because it's a lot. Okay, so back to Suns news. We've got movement on the Kevin Durant front.
Yep.
Obviously, last week there were reports that KD was going to meet with Tsai, and they did. They had the conversation, and Shams Charania tweeted out, sources: Kevin Durant informed Tsai that he does not have faith in the Nets' direction. The meeting was described as transparent and professional with a clear message: keep me or the GM and the coach.
I'm just glad he didn't say let's get physical in the meeting. So
How do you guys feel about this?
I can't. We got to stop with the
Okay,
Olivia
maybe we
Newton-John
should have just reset the
references.
show. I apologize to everybody because
We gotta
apparently
stop.
Olivia Newton-John was way too much for everybody to handle. Nobody really knows where to go with this.
It's
Listen,
not
I
Olivia
think the
Newton-John. It
biggest
was the
thing-
stories you told around it that were awkward.
What was that? What was awkward that she was my first crush?
I had feelings that I've never felt before. Like,
Yeah.
sir, I didn't need to know
That's
that.
what happens when you have your first
I
crush,
didn't
Lindsay.
need to know that.
hey, welcome into the PHNX Suns show live.
This is Lindsay. I'm Saul. This is Espo and Gerald.
How's everybody doing today?
Hey, we're doing fantastic.
Great, woo. All right.
So, KD,
Oh man,
things go off the rails too fast.
it took 2 seconds.
Gerald, how do you feel about the Kevin Durant situation?
I mean, I feel like this is not quite the going nuclear option that we've talked about, but it's a step in that direction. It's making it clear it's me or these two guys, and that's quite a precedent to set if you're to fire a GM and a head coach to keep a player, especially when you're not really all that close to winning a championship right now. Like, they just don't have the roster for it. So I think this is obviously good news. And it was interesting to see the fallout from that meeting, which didn't take very long to come about.
Look, to me, this was the politely nuclear option. This was Katie saying, I'm making my demand, please, but not really please. I'm just going to, he put Tsai in a corner. He backed him into a corner and made it very clear, I'm not coming back, because he knows Tsai isn't going to fire his general manager, who reportedly had just gotten a contract extension, and he's not going to fire his head coach right now. It's just not going to happen. Tsai is from what we've heard, is drama averse, right? He does not like drama. He said he'd rather win 40 games with a good group of guys than 60 with a drama-filled roster. So this was Kevin Durant backing him into a corner. KD knew what he was doing. This is the nice nuclear option.
It is. There's no other way to go about it. Like, it is exactly what Espo said. KD is going to force his way out of Brooklyn. I feel like if there's nothing else we learned from this situation, it was that. I don't see a scenario where he goes back to Brooklyn. Obviously there's more things we're going to discuss here in the short term, but I think KD has made up his mind, and I think he feels very strongly about it. And KD has not been the type to really waffle. Once he lets everybody in on the secret, he basically owns up to that secret and he does it. So I believe that we've seen KD's last days in a Brooklyn Nets jersey for sure.
You know what I'm curious to know? I just want to know like what it is that has made Steve Nash and a lot of the players on the Nets butt heads so much. Because we've heard reports about them not getting along for a while now, and I don't know. I'm just kind of like, what is it? What's happening?
I've heard rumors they don't think he's a very good coach, that he's not really the guy running the show. Some of the assistant coaches have. There was some staff that was let go. It's a myriad of things. And really, it's sad because I think Steve Nash went there to do Sean Marks a favor, and his relationship with KD was in part why he did it, because he and KD had a good relationship in Golden State, and KD signed off on it. So this whole thing is just a weird drama. Lots of bizarre turns in this. But I think this is KD going, I'm 34, and I got to figure out how I can win another title, and it ain't happening here in Brooklyn. So I think
maybe the impression is that Steve is a good he's not a good ideas guy, right? He's not a good creator of concepts that will help enable guys like KD or other guys around KD to excel at a higher level. He's basically just putting all of his weight on the fact that KD and Kyrie are unique talents and hoping that all works itself out. And so I don't believe that he's confident that this is a good coaching staff. And somehow, some way, things have gotten completely out of hand with their relationship. And now KD's like, nah, I'm not doing this. If it's going to be crazy, at least let it be a good crazy. And at least, at least the coach could be in control of the crazy. You can deal with that. But if the coach has no control and crazy's going all over the place and things seem out of whack, then you yourself are a little unnerved and don't feel like there's any control that you have and you want out of that situation. I totally get it.
It is kind of funny that KD kind of approved the Nash hire and was a big part of that, and now he's not a fan of that hire. But I do think that this is part of the leverage of it all, is he knows that the Nets probably aren't going to fire their GM and their head coach, so it's just kind of a casualty of having to lump those two in together to make his demands very clear as far as like, look, you got to trade me or you got to clean house as far as ownership is concerned. Not ownership, but
Steve Kerr is a player's coach. And I think maybe KD thought he was going to get a version of that in Brooklyn. But the thing with Steve Kerr is he's a brilliant mind. Like he's worked under some legendary coaches, Phil Jackson, Popovich, so he's seen it and he's done it. And so I think that's the thought that KD had, is that maybe now that Steve Nash can move on from Steve Kerr, that he will take on that same kind of legacy, and it just has not happened.
This is, to me, this is the downside of player empowerment, right? Because you do everything you can to cater to your superstar, including letting him pick the coach, which then emboldens him to feel like I can then tell you when it's time to move on from said coach because you've given me the power up front. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it creates this kind of drama because it's not Sean Marks in the driver's seat. It's not Joe Tsai in the driver's seat. It's Kevin Durant that's in the driver's seat. Now, I don't care what anybody says. There's a certain contingent of Brooklyn Nets fans that are like, he has no power in this. None at all. It's all the Nets have all the power. I'm like, bullshit. The Nets have no power in this right now, and he's slowly embarrassing them, and holding on to him does nothing. It accomplishes nothing, nor does firing your coach and your GM to keep him.
Yeah. Hello in the chat earlier just said, Kyrie, Kyrie is different, not crazy. Just saying. No, and I'm not just speaking about Kyrie. I'm talking about Ben Simmons coming into the fold and that fiasco, Harden wanting out and that fiasco. The Brooklyn Nets, by all accounts, are chaos and crazy. I'm not talking about one specific individual. That entire situation is just the inmates are running the asylum kind of thing. And it's just not, listen, if you're a star player like KD, at some point you just kind of wave the white flag and say, I don't really want a part of any of this chaos. I'd rather go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though, because he's part of the reason that it got to that way, like letting the players be in charge of what moves they want to make, pushing so hard for James Harden to come there, and then having to trade him. The Ben Simmons thing, all these different steps that they've taken have kind of been dictated a lot by the players, as far as like, we got these two superstars and here's the ideas that they have and what they want to do. And now he kind of wants out of this situation that he helped create. Like, it's more complex than just KD and Kyrie ruin the Nets, but it does feel like they kind of they went along on this ride, and now KD's like, all right, I'm getting off now.
Yeah, Steve Kerr got handed the Superman. What's the phrase? With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And when Steve Kerr was handed KD, Kyrie, and Harden, like, the weight of the world was on his shoulders to try and get a championship, and then it just never worked out for a variety of reasons. A lot of it didn't even have to do with Steve Kerr. A lot of injuries.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash. A lot of injuries. Obviously the COVID situation, not getting a shot and stuff like that. But still, that's part of the deal. Like, that's part of the pressure that comes along with that expectation.
That's on Sean Marks and Joe Tsai, though. You don't put a guy who has no real coaching experience outside of being a consultant for Golden State in the head coach's position when you're giving him that much that's combustible. Like, you have to have a calming force. We saw that with we've seen that throughout the NBA. You put a first-time guy there that hasn't been through it on a bench, you're gonna create chaos like that, because how is he supposed to say anything to these guys? From word one, Kyrie and KD were saying it's like we get to coach ourselves. Like, so it never was gonna work.
Well, and if they really wanted Steve Nash, then that's on the front office to compromise and be like, let's get Steve Nash as a part of our coaching staff, not necessarily as the head coach.
I would normally agree with you, Espo, but we have seen it work before. And now the personalities were a little bit different, obviously. Eric Spoelstra, first-year head coach when they had LeBron, Bosh, and D. Wade. But the difference is that D. Wade was kind of the cornerstone of that franchise, and he was like the calming presence. LeBron brought all the fanfare, obviously, and Chris Bosh was kind of a perfect third wheel where he just wanted to put in the work and play. That first year was kind of tragic because they didn't win a championship, but then they did win 2 out of the next 3. And so I would say it can be successful, but you have to have the right people at the right time.
The difference is Spoelstra was on the bench as an assistant. He worked in video rooms for years. Like, he wasn't Steve Nash, who had consulted and hadn't been through the rigors of being a coach in an organization. Spoelstra had learned from Pat Riley. So him being a first-year head coach is different than being really, for all intents and purposes, a first-time coach as a head coach of this super team as well.
Still different sitting in the seat as a head coach, no matter where you came from, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on, because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on within this Kevin Durant situation. So when Shams tweeted that out, he also had an article with it. And in the article, he pointed out that the teams who are still in on KD are Boston, Toronto, and Miami. But today we got this video.
When you look at the best player, Connor, that's on the board, I think Jaylen Brown would have to be that. I think if you can go get Scotty Barnes from Toronto, which right now Scotty Barnes is not on the table, I think you go do that as well. But as it stands right now, Jaylen Brown is probably that centerpiece of a trade that makes the most sense. Toronto, Miami, Boston, I think even Phoenix, could Phoenix still come up with some kind of a package around Mikal Bridges and 4, 5, 6 first rounders to go send another team and try to get back in this race? Because once DeAndre Ayton had his contract offer sheet from Indiana, that 4-year, $133 million deal, once it was matched by Phoenix, it really created a position for Phoenix. They didn't have many assets besides Mikal Bridges and a bunch of draft picks. And so we'll see where Phoenix, to me, they are still very, very far behind from the rest of the pack. But really, those are the 3 or 4 teams that I think still poses a serious threat for Kevin.
Shams doing his best Michael Jackson impersonation, moonwalking backwards as fast as he can from that original report. That felt like a mea culpa where, everybody yelled at me online. I guess Phoenix kind of is still in on this, you know.
I just feel like he was talking. Listen, if you're not a Suns fan and you look at the packages that are potentially offered, and you throw in guys like Scotty Barnes, and you throw in guys like Jaylen Brown, you can make sense of what Shams is doing by alienating the Suns, because logically speaking, from his perspective, these other teams might have better packages to put together. However, the big thing is that KD doesn't want to go to any of those other teams. And so if KD tells you, yeah, if you trade for me, I'm going to sit out, I'm not going to play, you're going to have to freaking figure that out, then you're not going to take on that kind of diva. You're not going to take on that drama. So that leaves the Suns in kind of a primary position to get KD. And that's what I think Shams completely missed the mark on, and why he did backtrack a little bit. I'm sure he got some heat from Suns fans yesterday too.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think the phrasing he used in the article was most significant teams that could trade for him. So you could take that as a slight to saying the Suns still are not a significant team, which we're used to as Arizona sports fans by now, or you can take it as he was talking in terms of potential trade packages, because let's be honest, at this point with Ayton being back, that did hurt what the Suns can offer. They will have to loop in a third or a fourth team, which makes things more complicated. But it is interesting how a lot of the national media has glossed over Phoenix as one of those teams that's consistently mentioned when Kevin Durant was, reported as this is where he wants to go. Like, this is the one spot that we know for sure from Shams, from Woj, from Chris Haynes, when they all reported the first trade request, it was he wants to go to Phoenix. And it's been kind of dead silent on that front, because in most people's eyes, DA being re-signed takes him out of the running, which isn't necessarily true.
Two things. I think that Suns fans kind of flexed on Shams and got him all up in his feels about it.
But
but also, look.
The look and the sound, like, oh man, it's like you guys planned that.
Look, James Jones, if you told me he was former CIA, right, I would believe you, because the man operates in the shadows, right? And I think that's what's happening here again. There's not a lot of chatter about the Suns because James Jones doesn't let shit leak. So if things aren't coming out, the assumption is they're not in on it. They're not part of it. It's not going to happen because they're not leaking it, And the Nets, if you're looking at it from their perspective, if they're the source of this, right, and they say it's Boston, it's Toronto, it's Miami, what does that do? Puts pressure on the Suns because maybe the Nets don't think the Suns are offering enough. There's so many different ways that all could be played. It's not overly concerning to me, honestly.
Right. And we need to remember at this time of year, it's all about leverage plays. And these reports that we're seeing, the reports that you're getting, your sources, you're only as good as your sources. Like, they are coming from specific people with specific agendas, and that's what's being leaked. So it's worth remembering that all of this stuff needs to be taken with a grain of salt at this time.
All right. We have a super chat from CBKRA. Not sure how to say that, but thank you for your super chat. They asked, how soon do they have to trade Durant to get the most value? Before training camp? What do you guys think?
They would have to go back to June 30th when the request. They've lost leverage. Right now, they're negotiating against themselves. And
it's going like this.
Well, they lost leverage because they had a certain owner that came out and tweeted something in the aftermath of all this.
So much drama, you guys. So yesterday afternoon, after we had time to kind of digest the initial Shams report, we got a tweet from Tsai himself. He said, "Our front office and coaching staff have my support. We will make decisions in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets." Basically calling KD's bluff, like, if it's you or them, well, they got my support. So
disastrous.
Sit out, or we're going to move you?
In my opinion, that's a disastrous move. I have no idea why he tweeted that out, because you are signaling to the rest of the world that you are going to choose your GM and your coach over this player, and that lets other teams in the league know exactly what you're thinking and where you stand. And that makes it easier to say, okay, well, if you have to trade him, then if that's your stance, your offer is going to be less now. I have no idea why he tweeted that.
Or is it like a million other votes of confidence that GMs and owners give, and next week he blows both of them out? Like,
That's not a good look. That's a blatant lie that you just broadcast to the world, and then you go back on your word. That makes you look worse.
Who's going to go work there now?
Hold on.
Somebody
Hold
will,
on.
but you're going to have questions.
We've seen this in sports so many times. We believe in our head coach. We believe, they have my confidence. And then a week later, they get fired.
But that's when they get asked a question.
Lie.
Yeah,
But that's when they get asked a question, not
but
unsolicited. Here's what I'm going to tweet.
Not only that, but it's also not by the hand of a player.
Right.
Like a player dictating that you have to get rid of a GM and a coach. That's the biggest domino that's different. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't remember another situation where a player was like, fuck that guy and fuck that guy. If they're still here, I'm out. Like that's a tough thing. Like if you're Joe Tsai and you fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, good luck trying to find a good quality GM or coach to come into that situation because it's going to be difficult because they know KD's the one that has the power.
To be clear, I mean, we know that this has happened behind closed doors before where a player demands.
That's one thing, but taking it public from the owner is a whole nother game.
I know Saul knows that, and I wanted to make that clear. You weren't saying players never do that. Just the public form, the way this all went down, that a player, it's very clear that he demanded people be fired. Look, Joe Tsai will probably regret that tweet.
One of the most powerful men in all of basketball history hated his GM and still couldn't get that dude fired. So I mean,
well, Sean Marks hasn't won 6 titles, to be fair. So.
That's true.
Cesar in the chat says, he regrets that tweet. LOL. I bet you he's kicking himself for letting his emotions get the best of him.
Guess what, though? Even if he does fire those 2, he's got billions of dollars. So, A, he doesn't give a shit. And B, he'd be able to pay somebody enough money to convince them to go to Brooklyn and work.
There's one guy that would go and be the GM of the Brooklyn Nets if they got fired. I'll take that contract right now.
Can I put on the tinfoil hat? You guys want to join me in the tinfoil hat club?
No, we'll see.
All right.
I'll let you know after how I feel.
Oh, you always do. I have no doubt that you will. So there's a common denominator in a few things here. Steve Nash. Remember when everybody was up in arms that the Suns traded him to the Lakers and he took the Lakers down from the inside?
Oh, Jesus, here we go.
And now he's at the Nets. And he's taking the Nets down from the inside, and KD might wind up here. Steve Nash is the greatest double agent in sports history. Put him in the Ring of Honor twice if KD winds up in Phoenix, because he's doing the Lord's work by bringing the Suns all the help that they could get. Steve, I salute you, and if Sean Marks is in on it too, you get a salute as well, gentlemen. Thanks for being great sons. Put the tinfoil hat away now. The tinfoil hat club has commenced. So.
I'm not mad at this one. I think it's funny.
I wish y'all could have seen Saul's face during that whole.
It's like when you love somebody so much that you can never see any of the wrong that they do, and you just believe that they have your best interest in mind, no matter what. It's just, I applaud you for that kind of that hope and the obliviousness.
It's
but
true.
That is not what's happening.
Steve Nash is such a.
Wouldn't it make you feel better, though, if it was? Let him have this moment. Let him have this moment.
Would he not be the greatest son ever if that was what he was doing? I took down the Lakers and then I brought you the greatest son ever. Other than me.
Steve Nash gets more flowers than James Jones in this scenario, and I want to punch Espo for it. There's no way.
Oh my gosh. I think that's hilarious. All right. Our last little nugget of the Kevin Durant situation. Christian Winfield, Nets and NBA reporter for NY Daily News, tweeted out sources. Kevin Durant's boundless love for basketball is not a reason to believe he'll show up for training camp if the Nets don't acknowledge his trade request. This is a question that I had something on because we did get a report a few weeks ago saying that he's not the kind of guy that's going to sit out training camp. He's not going to do that. Well, this contradicts that. So
yeah, his source is logic. Like, why did anybody really believe Kevin Durant loves basketball so much that he's going to go against what he's demanded just so he can put some shoes on and play hoops? No, he's not going to do that. Why is he going to go against his own interest and what he's fought for all offseason just because he loves basketball?
Well, I don't know that it's just because he loves basketball. It's just that You're taking it a whole nother level if you're refusing to show up.
They've played it off as if it's his love of hoops.
And Espro's minimization skills have gone to another level on
He's
this
also
show.
34 and coming off an Achilles injury. Like maybe he
He's just
doesn't
gonna
want to
throw on
waste
some
a
shoes
season.
and play some hoops. Like that's it. That's all.
He's such a nice guy.
That's all he has on
He
the
never
line.
screw the Nets by not showing up to training camp. Do we operate on the same plane of existence? Are these all Pollyannic people that are like, Kevin Durant's too nice, not gonna happen? Like,
Look, I'm going to say what I said back then. I said that's the first step, and then the next step is going to be a report that comes out that says, okay, maybe he would be willing to skip out on training camp if he doesn't get what he wants. This is exactly that next step. And it's, Christian Winfield said a source told him he pushed back on that idea that KD would sit out of training camp. So I don't know. It just feels like the next logical step in Kevin Durant forcing his way out. All of this is calculated. All of this needs time to unfold. It's following a very formulaic plot right now.
and I don't understand why everybody's like, Kevin Durant, such a good guy. Has anybody ever seen Kevin Durant on Twitter? Kevin Durant is ruthless. And when a guy shows you who he is...
Excuse hard pause.
Chelsea has come to town.
When a guy shows you who he is because he claps back at freaking trolls who are dicks to him on the internet, that makes him a dick now?
I'm not saying he's a dick, but I'm saying he has a side to him that he's willing to be that guy if he needs to be.
Show me one person who doesn't. I'll show you somebody who's lying.
That's my point, though. This
Liar.
You clap back just as much as any of us do.
But that's
I wanted to see if she would notice. She's got plenty of anger to spread.
That is my whole point, though. People act as if he's one-dimensional in this way, and I'm like, no. There's a guy there that's willing to do what he wants to preserve his self-interest. Like, it's just dumb.
All right, let's take a quick break before I ask you my last question. Let me tell you guys about the cool things they got going on with our friends over at Four Peaks Brewery. Right now, our Toast of the Month sweepstake is live at gophnx.com, and one lucky winner will get a $50 Four Peaks gift card, a PHNX shirt of your choice, and a PHNX annual membership. To enter into that sweepstakes, all you have to do is go over to phnx.com or click the link in the show notes. Also, if you don't want to wait until the end of the month to find out if you won, you can be a winner yourself by just going to the Four Peaks Brewery or stopping at your local grocery store and grabbing some Four Peaks beer. Just a reminder, though, you do have to be 21 or older to enjoy that beer, and we ask that you enjoy responsibly.
Can we take a minute and just applaud Chelsea for that beautiful transition there, that you can be a winner? I like it.
The question I have, because I've seen it a lot in the chat, is that after all of this, everything that has gone down around Kevin Durant, who he is as a person or who he is not as a person, it's up to you. Are you concerned at all about having him in Phoenix? A lot of people in the chat today have been like, he's too dramatic, too much drama. I'm nervous. This is that. I don't want him here anymore.
No.
Y'all have those feelings?
No. You know why? Because this Suns team is petty as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
They are. Chris Paul, petty. Booker, petty. KD, petty. I love it. I want to see these three absolutely create chaos. I'm okay with it. I'm okay because it's a good kind of chaos. It's like, oh, okay, you want to talk all your shit. Well, remember when we beat you by 40 and then they just walk away. Like that's the kind of stuff I want to see. So I'm here for it. I think he'll be happy here.
Just embrace the inner darkness. Be the villains. Welcome to the upside down of the NBA. I don't care if you've got every single guy that people think is petty. I'm fine with it. Bring the damn trophy.
We have a shirt for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly,
Petty Kings.
Just own it. Like, who cares? Just be that and embrace it. If it gets you a title, if it doesn't, then we'll second guess down the road. But right now, hey, let's do it.
Yeah, completely agree. I feel like Chris Paul, and Devin Booker would all see eye to eye as far as their approach to the game, how hard they work, and the way that they're kind of they can be assholes on the court, but if you're channeling those three assholes against the other team, that's hard to stop. That's a hard thing to overcome. If he wins you a title, it's a no-brainer. I don't care how it ends. Just win a title.
We're already, like somebody said in the chat, we're already kind of like, I don't know how it happened, but we became like kind of the villains in the NBA. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, like the Suns are like one of the most hated teams in the NBA, and I'm here for it.
Right.
I don't mind that at all. It's almost like a calling card. Like I'm happy about it. And if KD comes to the Suns, let us raise a fucking banner. I promise you, you will rue the day we ever rose a banner and carry that Larry O'Brien down the fucking Central Avenue. It'll be chaos.
It'll be insufferable.
I also think that it's like, it's situational, right? The way that you could say Kevin Durant is acting right now. Granted, you could go back and look at different things, but he was free agents both of those times. So it's not the same. It's situational in the sense that, like, it is kind of a shit show, if you will, over in Brooklyn right now with everything going on behind the scenes. Even then, we're just getting a glimpse of, right? So if he's in the thick of it and he's like, yo, this is probably one of my last contracts, my last few good years in this league. Like, I don't want to spend it dealing with this type of stuff. I want to go somewhere else. And we're on the opposite end of that right now in Phoenix. We used to be that. We were afraid Devin was going to pull what Katie's pulling right now, and he didn't. And now we've gone through the thick of it, and we're on the other side. Our grass is actually green now.
Look,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the only reason people have a problem with this is because it's millionaires and billionaires fighting. But the average person would do the same thing for themselves if they're in a situation that they don't feel is right in their career. They find a way to get out of it, even if they have, a clause that a non-compete clause or whatever the case may be. They find a way out of it to get themselves to a better situation. Kevin Durant has that right. I don't think it's drama or him trying to screw things up. He's saying what is right for me is not what this is.
Hey, listen, he's going to come here and he's going to let the waters of the Maya Day Club soothe him, and everything is going to be all good for KD here in the Valley, baby. Let's go.
Hey, by the
way, we'll be out there next Saturday. Oh, geez. There you go.
By the way,
we
Shane, what day of the week is it?
I will.
Shane, beyond the Mac, what day of the week is it?
Train machine Tuesday, train machine Tuesday, train machine Tuesday.
You all thought we were going to go a Tuesday without it, but I brought us a trade that will piss off Nets fans more than anything, and I hope this is the final one,
my God,
just so they all can have their heads explode.
Oh, God.
It's Kevin Durant for Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, Cam Payne, Torrey Craig, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. So you keep Mikal Bridges, Nets fans get all pissed off, and Kevin Durant's here. This is the ultimate. This is the holy grail to me. I want this so bad just to piss off the interwebs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I wouldn't be that upset.
I actually have a more realistic trade. But go ahead. Do you have a thought on this?
No, I mean, that would be phenomenal. That would never, ever happen, but that would be phenomenal because then you'd arguably have one of the most talented starting fives in NBA history.
And probably one of the worst benches in NBA history to go along
with it. But that starting five of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Mikal Bridges, and DeAndre. Ooh, man. That's never going to happen.
I'm just so sick of Nets fans. That's what it is. Up in my mentions.
Speak it into
never going to
existence,
happen.
you guys.
You got Warriors fans doing it too. I'm like, yeah, you all are going to be pretty damn pissed off if it actually happens. And I want it to happen in the most catastrophic way possible for whatever team you root for.
True. Well, I'm going to take one for the team tomorrow, and I'm going to trade myself out because we have a special guest.
Oh, we do.
Yeah. Do we have the graphic there, Shane?
Shane is underprepared for us to just throw random things.
What? No. Every day.
I'm not.
Twice before the show. Do we have everything? Do we have everything?
I'm not.
Let me take my time.
I'm not blaming you.
Yeah.
I'm saying we
Shane's
screw you.
over all of you guys.
Esmo poked the bear
Get it,
one too
Shane.
many times.
You've
Get
been
it,
waiting
Shane.
for it.
All right, well, while Shane works on
I'm
that.
pissed off Lindsay and Shane today. You two are next. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I've been good today.
I'm in a good mood.
I'm
happy.
Did you not remember how you started the
I'm
show?
sorry.
Graphic time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to trade myself for Jock Lindale tomorrow. Jock is going to take my spot. He's going to join us on the show. You're welcome, Arizona. You're welcome. And I'm sorry I paid homage to the late, great Olivia Newton-John Lindsay.
Greatest
That's not what it was about.
greatest
to
trade
me.
ever.
It's a pretty good trade.
Real quick, let's reel it back in just a little bit because we did have a guest join us today and we got to get into that. But I do have a question for you guys. We got one from the chat that said, on our sweepstakes, can you enter just one time or multiple times?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you guys are the freaking bosses.
I'm just content. I don't manage all this.
Dear Lord.
Oh God.
Dude, I apologize to everybody who's listening with headphones on right now.
I'll say this. You can enter as many times as you want. I just don't know how many of them will count.
As many as you're allowed to on the website, I suppose. I don't know.
Does that answer it?
That's the best answer that you guys are going to get today. But we do have one more sweepstakes I want to tell you about. Oh, geez. We've got free stuff for you with the Flavoring Life sweepstakes. So one winner will receive 3 bags of OGs, including the orange creamsicle and tropical flavors. You're going to get an OG's hat, a PHNX shirt of your choice, and a PHNX annual membership. To sign up for this one, same place, go phnx.com or click the link in our show notes. And you can check out OGs online at ogsbrands.com. You can find them on Instagram at ogsbrands, or you can find their products at your local dispensary. But again, you must be 21 years or older to purchase. Okay, now on to our special guest.
Yes.
This goes much better than whatever the hell this first part of
It does. It's much better.
Wait. Before we go, Max, can people enter multiple times to win the Taste of Life or the Four Peaks sweepstakes? Hey, there you go. Multiple times.
The answer is yes.
You can do it, yes.
They can't hear him.
Yes. I was getting to that point.
Roll it, Shane. We've got a special guest joining us now, Duane Washington Jr. Duane, thank you so much for joining us. I'm guessing the last 3 weeks have maybe been a little chaotic. How has the last 3 weeks been? And are you even here in Phoenix yet?
Hey guys, nice to meet everybody. Yeah, the last couple of weeks they've been great. Nonetheless, I mean, a lot of stuff has been happening, a lot of stuff has been changing, but all for the better. And super excited about this next opportunity I got. And it's always a blessing to be in the position that I'm in. So as chaotic as it's been, it's just always been good stuff, and been able to keep a straight head, and I've got a great support system with me. So everything's been great. I'm doing just fine. But I'm still in Indiana right now. I'm getting my move on, and we'll be out there in a few weeks.
Nice. Awesome. So you've got a friend there with you. Let's just disclaimer in case we hear some barking in the background. Who you got in the car with you?
This is Draco. He's a Cane Corso. He's my guy. He's my little guard. He's watching the car for us right now. So if he barks, appreciate it. But he's a little crazy. So.
Well, what was your initial reaction when the Pacers made the decision that they did when they signed DeAndre Ayton, your new teammate, to his offer sheet?
Yeah, we had heard some things, conversed a little bit, going back and forth. So it wasn't a super, unscripted type of deal. But yeah, so just played a few games in summer league, and got the call, and it was a very love-hate, just part of the business. And told myself that day that that was something that I didn't ever want to feel again, and I was gonna work my tail off even harder than I have been before. So found out, was out in summer league, and then actually hit it home that day, just to kind of clear my head and get all my thoughts straight. And
So we all like to envision that the NBA is kind of petty. So there's a scenario in our minds that James Jones was like, don't try to sign DA. And then they signed DA, and they're like, you know what? We're going to try and get D-Wash now too. How long did it take before James Jones reached out to you?
So like I said, man, I took a couple of days just to myself. I'm expecting baby boy here in November soon. So just it was with my girlfriend and my dogs, man, just hanging out. Took a few days off of basketball as well. So those days were great. And then talked back with my agent when the week started. Had a few teams, calling, asking around, and had to let my waivers clear, of course. And then no one picked up my waivers, and the Suns reached out, and they told us that they were interested, and the market had been kind of frozen in a sense, due to the trade requests and stuff going on with Kevin Durant and a lot of the top tier guys in this league. So the market was just super frozen, and basically I was kind of I was headed back to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was about to go work out with my dad in the old high school in the hot summer gym. Like I was about to bring it all the way back. And the night I got there, I want to say it was end of July. Yeah, end of July. Yeah, super end of July. And then he basically, I started working out. I got 3 calls from my agent, and they told me, "Hey, we're going to the Suns." And it was amazing. So as soon as I got to Grand Rapids, I had to leave the next day to get a flight to Phoenix, and it was a long day, but it was all worth it. I got to see the beautiful new practice facility, got to meet a couple of the players, got to meet James Jones himself. I got to meet the owner. I got to meet everybody. So it was great. But yeah, a couple weeks after, I want to say 2-3 weeks after was when it officially was, this is what we're going to do. And blessings, man, like I said before.
That's great. And you had talked about things kind of changing for the better in your mind. Just kind of what were your impressions of the Suns from afar last year, and what you feel you can bring to this group?
Yeah, man. I have great awareness of what's necessary. And I've been a winner my whole life. So going into a situation last year where a couple years had been down, for me, I just tried to go out there and be who I could be, and bring the energy and bring the passion that I have and play with every day and every single day. And now to be, from going to a bottom 5 team to a top 5 team in the NBA, it's like a light switch, blink of an eye. I'm super excited to just see how guys operate, see how guys move, follow directions, listen, learn, like get better, and also be who I am. Just be who I can be, and whatever they ask of me, I'm gonna make sure I give 110% and just learn. Like I've got my big bro D Book on the team, and Torrey Craig. I play with TC and Indy, and those guys are gonna take me under the wing. And then we've got a Hall of Fame point guard and Chris Paul, and I just I can't explain enough how excited I am to just go learn and retain information and sponge everything. So I'm super excited, man. I can shoot the ball. I could pass the ball. Like it's kind of give and take, man. Whatever the team needs at the time is something that I can do for sure.
You mentioned Book as far as your bro. Can you tell us a little bit about your guys' relationship growing up in Grand Rapids? Like, how did that kind of all get started as far as you two being friends?
Yeah, so our parents knew each other, man. Basketball is a small world. It's the biggest world, but it's also the smallest. And his father and my father knew each other. My dad's from Little Rock, Arkansas. He ended up playing some ball in Grand Rapids and ended up settling down there. So that was how that happened. But as far as me and D Book, I grew up watching D Book play for the Grand Rapids Storm. Like, I mean, he was on the B team, and he was in the 6th grade, and I was super young, like 6th, 7th grade. Like he was in the 7th, I was in the 3rd, 4th, like going to the games, just trying to like watch the dudes. And he only played 1 year on the real like the real team. That was his either 8th grade year, and then he ended up moving down to Mississippi with his dad in high school. So our relationship was from a distance. Like I got to watch him grow up, get better and play for the Mississippi Challenge on the UIBL, commit to Kentucky, go to Kentucky. Like I got to watch all this stuff, and we always were in touch, always on the phone. Just like he basically would tell me, like, I'll see you soon, like I'll see you here, like I'll see you, like you're next, like you're next, like. And he just kept like believing in me when it felt like a lot of people weren't. So it's all real, man. Like I said, he definitely grew up, and he grew up like 30 minutes in Granville. Like Granville, they were maroon and white, and I went to Grand Rapids Christian High School and grew up in the Kentwood area. So everything is super familiar, and it feels full circle. It's just crazy. Like my uncle is Derek Fisher, and he came to Phoenix one year for Larry Fitzgerald's All-Star baseball celebrity softball game, and I knew I was 17 at the time, going to Sierra Canyon, and our uncle was like, "We're gonna take a trip." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it." And I knew D Book was here, so I was at D Book's house when I was 17. So what's that? 5 years ago. So 5 years ago, D Book was young before the Adidas jersey still in the NBA. Like it was just a different vibe. the Suns were on their way up, and to see where he is now and where he's grown from is I just can't wait to join him, man. Like it just feels right. How about that? Like simple as that. It just feels right.
What are you most looking forward to as far as playing with Book now that you guys have kind of, like you said, it's all come full circle? What are you most looking forward to about being his teammate?
Man, I just understand that we're trying to win, and we're trying to win right now. And the expectations are even higher than I expect. So as far as doing what I need to do, as far as playing, as far as being on the court, I'm going to have to listen and apply and understand, like, they need a certain, if a play is going on and they need somebody in the corner ready to shoot, like, that's going to be me. If they need, somebody bringing the ball up and having D-Book come off a pin down with DeAndre Ayton, then that's what I'll do, and I'll put it where it needs to go. So I just, like I said, as far as us being, connected and knowing each other and, being brothers and whatnot, like, we're gonna go on the court and take care of business and do what we do. And I can't, like I said, even more, I can't wait to learn and to grow and to show like that what apply what I'm learning from these guys, man. I can't wait to get to Phoenix. If you can't tell, I'm super excited. So,
well, you mentioned that your uncle is Derek Fisher, and that led to another connection that you and Book have, right? Your love of Kobe Bryant. Did you have a relationship with Kobe through your uncle?
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Uncle Kobe. Rest in peace, Gigi. Those are two amazing people that have been taken from us. And yeah, man, Uncle Kobe was, for me, I didn't even pay attention to the basketball about Kobe. Like, I was too young to really know what was going on. Like, the times that I met him, the times that I hung out with him, we were hanging out, eating food and playing Sorry, the Game of Life, and watching movies. And it was never, and after the game or in the hotel room, like, I never got to, really talk basketball. Like, he saw me grow. And every time he would see me the next game, it would be every couple months. My uncle, the Lakers, would come into town. I was staying in Michigan, so we would go to the Bulls game, the Pacers game, the Pistons, the Cavs, the Bucks, anything around. Like, we were trying to get there, and every finals we would try to make it out and do what we did. And but yeah, every time he saw me, he just would acknowledge how much taller I got, how I'm doing in school, like am I being a good son? Am I listening to my parents? Like, it was such an amazing thing to see, like, a basketball player of that status and of that greatness to be able to care about somebody who he doesn't see that much, or his relationship is through his teammate. And I called him Uncle Kobe. He used to pick me up every time he saw me, and just kind of grew up around that culture, man. Just winning culture, winning basketball, winning people in life who win. Like, that's just who I am. That's who I want to surround myself with. And Book knows that, and that's why he, is pulled towards Kobe so much. The energy that he gives off, and it's just it requires greatness, and that's something that I'm trying to chase, and I know D-Book is after it. Be legendary, man. That's what it is in a nutshell.
When was the first time you beat your uncle Derek at basketball? You let us in on a little family secret here.
Yeah, so honestly, I hope he watches this one day and he sees me say this. We've never played one-on-one before.
Really?
Oh.
So you calling him out right now?
I'm calling him out right
Let's go.
now.
Let's go. Come get some umps. Let's go.
What's the deal?
That's awesome.
But we definitely, man. I always tell my dad this too. My dad says I wasn't ready, and then when I got ready, now he's too old. And then and my uncle, I never really, honestly, I never told him. Like, I never. We used to shoot. We used to shoot, and like I said, I was too young. I wasn't ready. Like, but now I'm ready. So we'll have to see what we can get done with that.
All right, Duane, I gotta agree with you as far as being ready now, because once we got the news that you would be joining the Suns, my favorite thing to do is go back and watch a player's highlights, because we're all so laser focused on the Suns, so it's fun to learn about other players' games. And
for sure,
I went back, I watched every basket you made last year. So I kind of got to ask, because I'm curious now, what was your favorite highlight from your rookie season?
I would say the dunk I had in San Antonio.
Yep.
Because
There you go.
That was like,
Here it is right here, baby. Let's
Yeah.
go.
yeah. I was wondering if you guys were gonna pop it up like that. No, but
We're lucky Gerald guessed right. We had that one ready.
Yeah,
so.
had it ready, right? That was the first that was like the first like NBA like how it obviously didn't look like LeBron's, but LeBron comes down the lane and just takes over everybody. Like that's what I felt like. How about that? That's how I felt. So it was great, and expect more of that, man. I'm even more confident. I'm even more strong. I'm even more ready. I have a year under my belt, 50 NBA games. Like expect even more of that. I can't wait to get out there, man, and show what I really can do. So.
There's another one that we were talking about earlier that, sometimes you watch a play, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that kind of that. This one against the Knicks, you got quickly. I mean, you had 3 different moves that were all, solid, really, really solid.
Yes, sir.
I mean, when you make a move like that and you spin it, then you hit him with a step back, like, it almost feels just as good as a dunk, right?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Look, it was in the Garden as well, so and for me, I love road games. I'm a road warrior. I love silencing the crowd and making people, question like, oh, like, are we gonna win? And all you heard was, oh. It was cool, man. But we was down, so I'm humble, man. But it definitely was, I wish we could have won that game and took it home. But had a big moment in there, and blessed for the opportunity for sure.
Do you hear when the fans chirp at you?
Yeah, you hear everything. If you're aware and you're if you're aware of your surroundings, you definitely hear everything, especially courtside.
Do you like it? Do you like it when they chirp at you?
It just depends, man. Like, I've seen it a lot where, I've seen it personally last year. Somebody said something to LeBron and he had 45, and you say something to D-Book and then he had 60, or like, you know what I mean? Like dudes that you're talking to, you got to be a little, some fans just want to see a good game, and but sometimes it hurts the home team if you're saying something to the fans and then now you turned on a monster who can't be stopped, So I love it. Me personally, I love it, and I'm with it all. So I can't wait, man. Like I keep saying, you guys are getting me amped. I'm about to go to the gym after this. Y'all getting me ready. Like I'm about to go get right.
Let's be honest. We now know why your uncle's ducking you on one-on-one after watching that quickly play. So.
Yeah, but hey, he had locks though. He had locks for real. He used to sit down on everybody. That was his stilo for sure.
All right, Duane. Saul's got a rapid fire questions kind of segment for you, but before we do that, I just want to know: do you have a nickname? What can we call you?
Y'all can call Wiz. It's in I put it in the group chat thing. Yeah, that's what let's rock with that, Wiz. Leave it at that.
All right,
perfect,
love that.
Perfect. All right. So rapid fire questions. First thing that pops into your head when I ask you these questions, and here we go. You ready? All right.
Let's do it.
Favorite NBA player?
Stephen Curry.
Favorite food?
Wow, wings. Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. What artists do you listen to before games?
Ooh, Future and Youngboy. YB. Yeah.
There you go. Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Greatest TV show of all time?
Greatest TV show of all time. Wow. Let's say SpongeBob. That's just SpongeBob.
Love it. Yeah. Dunk on someone or cross them over dirty?
Cross them over bad. Yeah, for sure.
If you got tattoos, what's your favorite tattoo?
Great question. My favorite tattoo is I have a lion on my chest. It was my second tattoo I received. It just represents how the male lions take care of their pride, and my family is my pride, and it's my favorite animal, and that's something I live by. So for sure.
Beat Book one-on-one or dunk on him in practice? Which one would you like?
I'm gonna do both. At least once, you know what I mean? One-on-one though. But both. I mean, yeah, both. But one-on-one. If I had to choose one-on-one, for sure.
play at home or playing on the road?
Playing on the road. Yep.
There you go. Pretty simple.
My guy.
Awesome.
Yeah, make
Wiz.
sure. Hey, cut that one out. No.
Wiz, thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us
Wiz,
today.
that was
We
awesome.
appreciate your
Let's
time.
go.
We're so
For sure.
happy to have you here in Phoenix.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm super excited, and I'm hoping that I'll make sure I come see you guys soon, and we can chop it up even more.
Yeah.
Sounds good,
Absolutely.
man.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much. We'll be in contact. Thank you guys.
He's the best.
Dude, he's awesome.
He's going to be
He's
a
awesome.
fan favorite for sure.
Hell yeah. Wiz. Let's go.
Wiz.
Hey, I love his energy. I love the fact that he's got some confidence. And
Some.
I mean, hey, you got to at the NBA level. You know what I mean? Like even his boy Book, was like, hey, I'm still gonna try and get him. You know what I mean? Like, and I can't wait for him to come into town, and hopefully he gets to come to our new studios.
He's got Sean DePaz level confidence. So,
Yeah, it's a little irrational, yes, for sure, but I still love it. I still love it. Yeah.
That wink, cut that out at the end. You can tell he's
Oh.
got a really good personality. He's probably going to fit in perfectly with this team.
yeah, Book and Derek Fisher are going to see those clips, so we're just going to make sure.
Oh, we're gonna make sure of it for sure.
Tag them. Yeah. But if you guys are curious for more information about Duane, I wrote about him last week when he first joined the team. A lot of good stuff breaking down his game there. And I thought he did a pretty good job breaking it down as well. He can shoot, he can play make, and it'll be exciting to have a good locker room guy on this team and kind of see what he can do here.
Yeah, I'm going to guess he gets more minutes than the last point guard from Indiana that came here, the young guard, little Mr. Holiday. I think he'll be getting more rotational minutes than he did. So
Well, let's hope so anyway.
Oh,
Because
we'll
either
get
way, it'd be
Tough to
nice
get
to know
last,
what
yeah.
you're getting, right?
Real tough to
it's
get
nice
last.
to know what a player brings to the table at the very least. All I'm saying.
For sure.
I'll tell you what, though. If I were betting on his answer for best TV show of all time, I would have definitely lost
Oh, yeah.
with the SpongeBob comment. I'm all for it. Love SpongeBob, but I would have definitely lost.
he's so young that SpongeBob is a classic cartoon for him, too. That's the thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of betting, if you guys want to do that, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code PHNX when you sign up, because if you use that promo code after you make your first deposit, you're going to get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
What you can also bet on that has high odds is a stupid ass bot jumping in the chat every fucking show. It's so annoying, and I'm sorry, people. We have no control over it. It's just those things that we have to keep eliminating every single time they pop up, and we do our best.
You leave love-chat XZY out of this, all right? It's one of our
Well,
best viewers. You know?
All I'm saying is, when they started showing up, right? After the logos draft.
Was that what it was?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Saul brought this upon each and every one of us.
First of all,
I'm just
clearly
saying.
that just shows that you don't look at the chat, because that thing has been around for a long time in a different version before. Those sex bots have always showed up.
Clearly, it was.
It's
a
not
joke.
because I put the Pornhub logo on the fucking screen. I promise you.
Clearly, it
Was
was
that
a
your
joke.
first or your second round pick? I can't
It was the
It was-
first.
it was his first.
First overall. She had Playboy, so it's not too far off.
She went classy.
She went classy porn. I went rampage porn.
Oh man,
Oh my
Okay,
God.
with that,
that's
with
not
that,
a good phrase.
Like
we are
classic
going to
video
say
games?
goodbye.
Is that the right term? No? I'm sorry.
We're going to go ahead and say goodbye because I feel like we're going to get ourselves into a little bit of trouble.
Get us out of here.
Quick reminder, we want you to stay safe and healthy. So COVID-19 vaccines are a great way to do that. They're free for everyone 5 and older. Those 12 and older are also now eligible for a booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find-vaccine for a location near you. We will see you guys tomorrow, 2 p.m., same place, same time. We'll be live right here. Until then, you
Jock
can follow
Landale.
me
Hold
on
on.
Twitter at Lindsay Smith
You
AC.
sure? We should bring Jock Lindell in after whatever.
After my comment
He's
and after,
leaving,
He's
so
not
it's
here,
okay.
then
and after the fact that Lindsay did not like anything I had to say today, it's probably a good idea for me to leave the show.
It was 2 things, and that's it. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bushman.
She was my crush, Lindsay.
That's fine. That part you could have said. Totally fine.
We're so close.
You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourget. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Just remember, folks, when you have feelings, you got to express them.
Much like Saul's first crush, this show made me feel some weird things.
PHNX though, Lindsey Gerald Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team move like the mob. Turn the beat on, I throw it down like DA on the live. Best combo since